Hey YouTube, good morning. 10.3 finally dropped, and welcome to some of the 99ers and just a 100 group that were added since my last video. Sounds like everything's going okay, which is great. I think that Tesla is obviously working pretty hard. This release was delayed a day due to some turning issues. It would be really interesting to know what's going on inside of that black box over there at Tesla when some of these things happen, and know what was really going on. But we're just out here to drive. In any case, I just wanted to show you real quick. Here's the version number, 2021-36.5.2. Looks like we did not get any new navigation data. My navigation data still says 2020.48. Release notes, I've posted this on Twitter, but for those that have not seen it on Twitter, I will run through them really quickly. Here is a quick snag of the detailed release notes that we've been asking for, and here they are. And I think this is the perfect level of detail, actually. Those release notes Elon tweeted to us a few versions ago were almost too detailed for the public. We had to kind of bring in some experts to decipher them. But I think the level of detail here is great. I think there's some numbers in here with the number of video clips they're adding that give some scale to the amount of data that they're managing, or, you know, to understand how much they can handle in between builds. I think that some of the details in here are going to be fun to explore. There's some changes to some turning information in here that I think is going to be extremely interesting to see. So anyway, there's the release notes. That is the biggest issue to point out here. These did not change, but they still have the full self-driving beta, the driving visualization improvements, and then the cabin camera. And I think we have seen a few other people exercise that FSD now requires the cabin camera to be visible. And actually they are using the cabin camera now to get some strikeouts. And I don't know anyone personally, but some people have been getting letters about possibly being kicked out because of not using good judgment with regards to driver monitoring. Okay, the other thing I wanted to point out here is with regards to the autopilot and the changes in here. So this full self-driving beta profile is new, and I'll just show you the details. Under chill mode, it says your Model Y will have a larger follow distance and perform fewer speed lane changes. Average, your Model Y will have a medium follow distance and may perform rolling stops. So here is our setting now to perhaps allow or disallow rolling stops. So that implies chill mode perhaps will full stop, average mode will allow rolling stops. And assertive, your model will have a smaller follow distance, perform more frequent speed lane changes and will not exit passing lanes and may perform rolling stops. So this guy will stay in the passing lane and probably do rolling stops. I'm going to put it in average here. Maybe this will be for a separate video to change this during a drive, especially with a lot of stop signs. Perhaps to see if the actual rolling stop can be turned off in chill mode. I typically like to drive with chill acceleration. Everyone has noticed that. Tesla has says that does not affect the acceleration of the car's ability of using it now. So now I've got two settings of chill and now full self-driving profile. I hope that we don't need to use assertive in order to have a successful complex maneuver like an unprotected left or merging into large traffic. Hopefully that the settings are going to be such that any of these modes can successfully accomplish the goal, but that'll be something to perhaps explore later. Okay, that's it for the kind of the quick intro. I have our typical Memorial Park first impressions drive in here. And let's get rolling and see what we get today for the round trip. So here I am in average mode, remember, and it looks like it's looking for traffic here and there's nothing coming. I was a little more cautious than it needed to be, but just fine in a suburban neighborhood. All right, this is an unprotected right-hand turn onto 3 lanes of traffic. It is Sunday morning. Traffic should be low. Let's see if the creeping visibility behavior changes any. It's a slow, steady creep. Got some traffic coming. Full stop there. Okay, the right lane is clear and the other two are not. Let's see if it decides to wait. Okay, it is waiting even though the right lane is clear. And now we should be able to have complete open. And actually I wasn't looking to the right, but there was a pedestrian coming on a skateboard to the right that we had already crossed the passing lane. Interesting, it didn't acknowledge that at all. I guess it knew it had already crossed the crosswalk. So unfortunately, we still don't have waypoints. I think we're slowly getting to the point where we get some of these features we've been asking for a long time. Kind of the big two that are out there in the front of us, maybe version 11 will be where they come, will be waypoints and single stack. We do have some reports from people that got out and drove in the middle of the night, and also it kind of is in conjunction with the way the builds have been working, that the vision-based auto park is included in this build, and that's because it's actually a part of the build number that was released in Europe with vision-based auto park. So perhaps we'll find a scenario where we can validate that today. A little bit of a slowdown there until it came upon vision on this stoplight, and it can see the stoplight is red and it's slowing down. I think it was slowing before it saw the red. In any case, it worked out just fine. I'm going to be watching these lines here on the crosswalks. Today's jitter on those lines looks a little less aggressive than the last build, but it's a little early to tell yet. All right, this next intersection is where I disengage and reroute. Go ahead and disengage there and manually turn to the right. This time of day, I usually have a sun angle that is pretty steep right into the windshield. Today is no exception. Waiting on the reroute and re-engaging. All right, we've got a car in a follow me lead car scenario here with a left turn. It's an unprotected left without an arrow. It turned yellow and it proceeded. That turn felt nice and tight. I think that was a better turn. I do. It didn't quite go as wide. We had a lead car to follow. All right, here's the situation where we have the parking spaces on the right side of the road creating the drivable space. Starting right now, they're all parking spots over here, and it's not marking the spots or the drivable space again. I was wondering if the Vision Auto Park was going to create a scenario where there was going to be a bunch of P's that showed up there. All right, little temporary speed restriction sign. That was digital that got rendered as a speed limit sign. That was interesting. It recognized the speed even though it was digital. All right, here we're going straight. We have a lead car, so it isn't going to do the scenario because the arrow was green to the right and now they're all red. Just as we cross this intersection is another one of the use cases I've been kind of reporting to Tesla, with a school speed zone sign that changes based on time of day and when the lights are flashing. Obviously, we're not in session right now, and you can see the sign overhead. Perhaps they are being rendered, but it didn't, of course, enforce any signs, speed limits, because they're not in effect. But when they are in effect, I have not seen it actually rendered yet. All right, we've got some construction here with a pedestrian. He's going around a little bit, crossing the line just a little bit. That was nice and smooth. I'm always a little hesitant to give FSD full credit when it has a follow me car in front performing the action. Very slow acceleration there, so that probably was a little lower than I would like after the lane opens up from a previous car turning. I almost tapped the accelerator there, but I didn't. All right, next item is a flashing yellow. I always look at the screen to see what's being rendered. I'm seeing a little bit of red, a little bit of yellow, mostly yellow so far. There's some red. I saw it slow by 1 mile an hour. Perfect behavior through it. Just perhaps the rendering colors is still a little bit of a mystery there. Second sign, it didn't even slow down for. Okay, the next one is a right turn, and there is room for 2 cars. And to this point, it's always stayed in the left side of the lane here where it needs to go over to the right. Maybe it's a local behavior. This has been debated a lot. It's definitely on the left with a right turn here. Okay, and it got a green light, luckily again, so it was very easy for it to perform. Had a little bit of a boost there. I like that acceleration. That was good. 4-way stop sign. I am in average mode, so let's see if it gives us a rolling stop here. It looks like there are no cars to yield to. Full stop that time. Didn't roll it. In average mode. In average FSDBeta profile. A little bit of yard debris here. It didn't render it. It's hard to tell if it created a path around it, but that is something that we have not seen since the mind of the car visualization has been here. It does not seem to render yard debris like it used to with the little green dots before mind of the car. Flashing yellow again. I didn't get to announce it quite early enough, but it proceeded. Pedestrian on the other side of the road on a scooter, but being rendered as a walker. Pedestrians with dogs. Haven't seen any dogs rendered yet. I'm not sure why it was slowing down so aggressively there, other than perhaps these parked cars may have looked like they could have been a risk. Not a lot of traffic interactions this morning on this drive, so I know we're not getting a lot of interaction, but perhaps that's the best thing for the first drive. All right, turned yellow, it needs to wait, and it chose to wait, which is a good choice. All right, while we're waiting here, none of those cars changed colors yet. We still sort of have the outstanding mystery of the blue cars. Maybe we'll get an answer one day. All right, green with a pedestrian that is waiting, which is good. Still no dogs being rendered, just pedestrians by themselves. We know there's a dog asset inside the computer, but I just haven't been seeing it on many of my drives. Correct lane selection there. Green light proceeding. All right, looks like we have a biker up here that's got a pretty aggressive flashing light on it, which is good. So this will be a good cyclist interaction here. Hopefully it gives him plenty of room, because I really don't want to disengage for going too close. All right, it's slowing down. All right, there is no oncoming traffic. I'm going to give it a second, and then I'm going to have to take over and accelerate. Okay, it's not creating a path around him. Now it is creating a path. Okay, it crossed the line. fully crossed the line using the whole lane. Needs to get back over now. Okay, it got stuck in the wrong lane on that one. That's going to be a report because that was a good interaction. That cyclist confused it a little bit. There was a car behind me, so I wasn't in a scenario to let it go too far without, and there were no oncoming cars to worry about, but all right, and here we are at our first destination. So manually disengaged with the stalk, so there's no intervention or disengagement recorded. I would say very low traffic density. I don't have a whole lot different to say about the drive. It was smooth, very low disengagements, not much that the bicyclist is perhaps the one interaction that I would say it could have done better. Obviously, I had to disengage to do it safely. Letting the car do odd things around cyclists is not very safe in the first place, so I wasn't going to let it go around the cyclist without a good path. Everything else felt about the same as 10.2, perhaps a couple little bit different boosts, and the full stop at the stop sign was noticeable. Let me get our return destination in here, and we'll see if anything interesting comes on the return trip. Okay. Oop, I accidentally tapped the brake there. Okay, here we have some pedestrians in our intersection, and this is our kind of a funny three-way with a look back to the left and a look ahead to the right. Okay, it slowed down early for that pedestrian ahead of the stop line. The stop line is right about here, and it needs to creep, and it proceeded with no traffic. So the navigation of that turn was much smoother. It previously had a very funny trajectory, perhaps, that was not smooth. That was a much smoother trajectory there. Pedestrian crossing without a crosswalk. Very good interaction here. Slowed down all the way to a stop and then proceeded. Very good behavior with that pedestrian. Obviously, it's a little early to judge whether the creeping behavior was perfect or not because there was zero traffic for it to interact with, but it did it nice and smoothly, just as I would have done, so no complaints there. Another cyclist on the other side, but not going to need to interact with it just to see how it's rendered. A little bit of a slowdown there for perhaps that car turning. Not overdone, but it was a little bit premature. And at this next intersection, I'm going to do a new reroute. I've done it before, but I'm going to force it to go down a different road here. This is where waypoints is going to be so much nicer in the future. And as soon as the reroute completes to the right here on St. John's Avenue, I will engage, and there we are engaged. We have a green light. All right, we got two joggers on the right. It ought to give them a little bit of room. They were getting out of the way, so it didn't give them any room. Looked like they ducked in between two cars. Okay, another flashing light approaching. A little bit of red mixed in again. A little bit of, okay, there were two brake taps there, which means it was thinking about it. I don't know if it was confusing the yellow or actually doing some sort of yield. Another jogger on the opposite side. some brake lights being rendered there on those parked cars that were inaccurate, perhaps due to sun angle. I wonder if that's happening a little bit more. Yeah, some brake lights being rendered on these cars to the right where the sun is shining on them. Might have to see what it's doing there with a little bit of a video preview. All right, it rendered that sign initially as a pedestrian, and then it recognized that it wasn't. We have a car backing out here. It should, okay, I should have probably stopped instead of going around, but it was going a little bit fast for me to stop there. It didn't see that car backing out to yield. And he was doing all he could, in my opinion, to slowly creep out to get some visibility. Just kind of a blind creep on his part. All right, this sign here in the middle got rendered initially as a person, then re-rendered as a cone. All right, here's the S-curve. In the S-curve here, it has used some blinkers erroneously a couple of times. Let's see. Slowed down for the curve a little bit, which is good. There's the blinker. Okay, blinker came on. One blinker so far. Okay, coming up is a very confusing intersection, even for humans, to get in the right lane. It has to be done right with mapping, I think. Okay, we've got a biker crossing the street. Slowed down perhaps for that biker, and then the turn. Used another blinker accidentally there also. All right, it's a very wide, funny angle turn here. Use the blinker to change lanes, that's good. It's got a red light, which needs to stop, needs to continue up to this stop line. That's good. All right, now, so far it did it just right. And these white lines here, you know, there's a lot less jitter in this build on the crosswalks and the vision-based lines. So I'm impressed that the jitter's gone down quite a bit. I don't know if there's less uncertainty or if it's just doing a better job rendering what it thinks it sees. All right, that intersection with no traffic, it did just right. In the past, it's gotten itself in a situation where it couldn't get out of a late decision. But it looks like with no traffic, it knows how to do it, which is great. As I've said before, full self-driving without much traffic interaction is really impressive. And I'm happy with this build so far. It hasn't scared me yet. Okay, it's got to go around a parked car. It's got a good path mapped around it. That was good. It showed him with some brake lights initially. Okay, now we're coming up on an unprotected left. This one is pretty complex if the traffic is coming. It it's got a median to go to. I haven't seen it use the median correctly yet. All right, they're stopping, creeping, and there is no traffic from the left because the street light hasn't stopped. It's wide open. It should go for it right now. All right, there's no traffic from the left, and it did the unprotected left with no traffic. So it had the maneuver down. It was able to clear the left and the right and proceed straight through the median. So it has done that before, so that is not a new 10.3 achievement. We actually, over here to the right, and you're not going to be able to see it with the visualization, we have railroad crossings coming down. and a train approaching from the right. We might be able to see some visualizations from the right of a train. He actually is not moving now that I'm... Oh, there he comes. It's an Amtrak train. In the past, it's just rendered them as a big truck. And there we go. It looks like we have a row of big trucks still. One day we'll get a train visualization. I mean, it's not a bad assumption for what it has in its asset library to use. A little bit of brake pause here. Look at that turn. Whoa, okay. I don't know why it did that. That was a bad maneuver. It had those intersections are still kind of dangerous to me. It changed lanes in the intersection. It looked like it was going to go left, and then it went right. It used its blinker to change, but why did it, unless it was trying to just get out of the passing lane? That is scary. For those of you new to driving FSDBeta, you really pay attention to what the vector is telling you it's going to do in the intersection, so you can at least anticipate a little bit and not be caught off guard. And at a very minimum, have your hand on the steering wheel very tightly. I think it's just processing a lot of opportunities at an intersection of what it thinks it needs to do versus what it should do. And sometimes it doesn't choose the correct one, and a few of them can be dangerous. Kind of paralleling our train over here, and he's not actually being rendered at the moment. All right, we've got one turn to go here. And it's now an unprotected left with a green light, so it's going to need to wait for forward-facing traffic. There are no gaps right here. It should not go. It's going to go. Okay, I'm tapping the accelerator aggressively there, because once it started, I was committed. That was not good either. It saw a gap, but it did not have the correct acceleration on it, and it was a very small gap. I knew I could override it with aggressive acceleration, and I floored the accelerator there. Okay, so that was not comfortable. I wish it had waited for a bigger gap on that one. Okay, I'm gonna do, just at the end of this video, a couple of unprotected lefts, just so I get them all in one video and I can keep my video production time down to a minimum today, hopefully. And we'll see what happens. All right. Here's number one. So far, it's got a map trajectory to the left. The creeping behavior feels consistent. It needs to now kind of stop here. There is a gap approaching, and it needs to use some aggressive acceleration. It needs to go. Go, go. Very cautiously went. I would have used more accelerator than that. It was clear to the right, so it did not need to use the median to stop. It found a gap. The car that was approaching was going faster than I was comfortable with letting it completely go. I did not tap the accelerator though, but that car I think probably had to slow down just a little bit. Let's try another one. All right, here's a second one. creeping behavior is definitely smoother, okay? It stopped there. It definitely needs to wait. There's a car coming. He went, change lanes. Now there's a large gap from the left. It should go. It's completely clear all the way across. Completely clear. Started to go, missed the median, but it corrected. There was plenty of time to correct itself. So I'm going to give the level of difficulty to those two lefts is very, very low difficulty. It completed both of them just fine, which means it has the tools when the traffic is clear to perform them. It did not give me a whole lot of confidence that it had the right path map there at the beginning of that one as it started to approach the median, then corrected back to the right. If there had been a lot of traffic coming and it was in a small gap, that would have been more uncomfortable. We'll try one more and then we'll call today a wrap. All right, here's take 3. This may very well be a very low traffic one also. Interesting, the vector's pointed to the right. I've got it to the left, okay? There is no traffic on the left. Uh-oh, it went to the right. Interesting. That's the first time that's happened since several versions ago. Okay. Well, we might have the looping behavior back. I'll let it do a loop and see if it corrects itself. That's a little disappointing. I thought they had fixed that. The planner was correct. At first engagement, it did show a right turn. It created a couple of paths to the left, but ultimately it ended up going to the right. I'm a little stumped on that one. I thought they had fixed that. All right, well, let's see if it can create a path to the left. It's definitely very clearly planned to the left. It's got a vector to the left this time. I haven't even seen it flicker to the right. Oh, look at it. It's flickering to the right again. Okay. It's wide open to the left. One car to the right. And now it can go. Okay. Well, what did we uncover? We uncovered a little bit of looping behavior, even when there wasn't traffic really to worry about. It wasn't like it needed to give up on that turn, but it created a loop, which is a great function to have because it needs to very quickly reroute in many different scenarios, especially if it gets itself in a situation where it misses a turn. Rerouting is an important part. All right, I thought that was going to be the last one, but I'm going to have to try one more. Okay, very clearly have a left turn planned and mapped. Whoa, where is it going? Okay. Wow. It was going for it. I'm going to back up with no traffic behind me and reset that. It was just like it. I engaged it and it was going for it. Without even thinking about the turn, the creep, or anything. I know some people say, well, you can't engage it that close to traffic. And if that is the case, I guess we need to learn that and understand it and know the operational environment around it. But I'm remapped here. I've got the full self-driving available. And we're going to try this again. All right, I feel it waiting this time. The last time it was proceeding. Feel like it's turning to the right a little bit, even though it's got a map to the left. Maybe it's fighting for an angle. It's waiting appropriately for some traffic from the left. Very small gaps it needs to wait for. Not clear to the right either. Very small gap from the left, but not clear from the right, so it's probably going to wait. Okay, now another media. Okay, it's a good gap. Uh-oh. We bailed. Oh no. It's back. Oh no. I thought we fixed this. All right, well, we may have to change the title of this video from First Impressions to First Impressions Looping is Back. Okay, well, it did the first one so simply. I'm gonna do one more. This is like a game to me now because I'm confused. I don't understand why it chose that. It had a good opportunity. We definitely did not engage the map at the wrong time. I backed up and gave it plenty of distance. It started to slow down and creep. It had a path map to the left, but ultimately it ended up going to the right. Okay, I guess this is the type of thing why testing is important, because we need to get use cases in here and stored, and we need to give the planning and the vision team some information to work with. Okay, this scenario, we got a train on the other side of the street. We've got a lead car turning to the right. I'm going to the left. I've got a very clear map plan to the left. And look, there's my vector. It's going to the right again. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, it's clear. It's gonna go to the right. Now, it's not mapping that train, so it can't be going because it thinks the train's in the way. Oh no. Okay, everybody. Well, I'm not gonna do any more because I think we have a discovery that there's some turning logic in here that is still not right. Very clearly on some of these turns towards the end, it was very easy to go to the left. This was not a I can't do it bailout plan. This was some sort of mapping, planning, vision confusion here. So here's 10.3, everybody. Welcome again to the 99ers, the 100s, everyone that's new to FSDBeta. Please drive safe. Keep your hands on the wheel. Keep your head moving. Keep this camera up here in the top center happy that you're paying attention. Get some data and give it to Tesla, kind of like I've been doing here today. This looping turn behavior is going to confound me today while I'm editing this video as to what it was doing. I can't wait to look at the video. In any case, please leave your comments below. If you like this content, let me know about it. Let's interact on Twitter. I'm at Chazman on Twitter. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you already know where to find me. Have a great day, everybody.